Hey, what's up everybody? This your girl Kiki, and this is Kiki Pretty Life 23. What's up everybody? This is your girl Kiki. So I'm going to be showing y'all how I made this very beautiful granny square jacket with a zipper in the front with these granny squares here that I have that took literally forever. It probably took me around 2 months to make this. So I'm just going to show y'all how I made it, but if you want a more detailed tutorial, please let me know in the comments below, and for my future projects I will definitely be more detailed, but it's just going to be a quick video of showing the whole process. So first I'm going to show y'all the yarn that I used for this jacket. So I used up to about 7 different colors for this. The main color scheme that I was going for was kind of like a pinkish purplish type of mix. So I did a lot of different pinks and different purples. So we got some like lavenders. That bright purple is from Loops and Threads, and that's the Michaels brand. So if you ever shop at Michaels, that's where I got it from. They no longer carry Loops and Threads. So if you're trying to get the same yarn that I got for that purple one, Hobby Lobby does sell a similar, if not, I'm convinced that they come from the same source, but the same type of yarn that Loops and Threads sell. So if you want that same kind of yarn that I got, get it from Hobby Lobby. They got it. But the other yarns that I have is from hobby.com. So not Hobby Lobby, but hobby.com. I got my yarns from there because they sell nothing but yarns and other little craft supplies. So that's where I got most of my stuff from. Now for the size of the hook, I end up using a 3.5 millimeter hook because the yarn is a little bit on the finer side, so that's what I end up using. So I'm going to fast forward this video a little bit, but pretty much you see I'm just starting off with this granny square here. So this is how I do it. This is actually learned from a tutorial on YouTube. Again, I go to YouTube for everything. If I need to learn something, just go on YouTube, search it up, whatever you want to learn. You might have to look at multiple videos because everybody has their, they have their own teaching style when it comes to tutorials. So I looked at a few different videos of how to do granny squares, but I'm mainly doing like the basic one. So the basic one, you start off with a magic ring, and then you do 3 double crochets, and then you add about 2 chains, do another 3 double crochets, add another 2 chains, and you do that 4 times. And then after that you just start off with the next row. So the next color, as you can see, I start off with a more darker lavender. Now I thought in this video I used that pink that was in the back that was hanging out, but I actually end up using a fuchsia color, which you will see me add in a minute. Now I end up doing 3 different colors for each and every square. So every square has a different combination of colors. I didn't want to do any repeats, so that's what I was trying to do, was just do every single square a different type of color. So every square that you see on the jacket is going to be different than the other ones. You can't really find too many repeats in it, only because I try to keep the variety in there. But yeah, so this took me the longest, y'all. This took me so long to make the granny squares, because not only that they were small, but also because of the fact that each granny square probably took me around maybe, I say maybe several minutes or something like that. It was like around 5-6 minutes it took me. But you have to keep in mind, you know, when you're doing so many granny squares, that time adds up pretty long. So for the total of granny squares that I did for this jacket, I did a total of 78 granny squares. 78, y'all. That is a lot of granny squares. And that's why it took me around 2 months to make this jacket, maybe even a little longer than 2 months. It felt like really 3, because of the fact that I kept taking breaks in between, because this project dang near made me lose my mind. Like, it made me lose my mind because it took so long to make those granny squares. So in between the project, if y'all saw my one video, I had made a purple and black stripe jacket. That was actually considered my in-between project, because my mind was so gone making this jacket that I had to do another project that was easier, just to take a break from this project because it was so long, y'all. So this is pretty much how the granny square looks after I'm finished. So that's pretty much the finished look of how all my granny squares are going to look. So just to show y'all all the granny squares that I have made so far, this is how they all looking. So you can see, again, I'm doing like different combinations of colors. So you got some that are a little similar, and then you got some that are completely different. So what I did was that I broke this project up in days. So almost like, I say every other day, I made about I say like 5 to maybe 10 granny squares at a time, because again, this project almost made me lose my freaking mind. But as you can see, this is how they end up looking after a few different combinations. Alright, so now I'm going to be using this black yarn from Premier Yarn, and this is the Just Pound. So this is like a really big skein of yarn. I got this from Dollar Tree. It was around like $5 because they had these on sale, which was pretty cool. So basically I'm going to create the outline of my granny squares now. So this is when I was pretty much like almost done with the project, as far as like almost done with the granny squares, that is, because that's what took a majority of the time. So every now and then I'll just take the granny squares that I already made, rather it was 6 or 10, and I went ahead and outlined them with this black yarn, just because I wanted to get that out the way as well. But basically I'm just created an outline of the granny squares because eventually once I get done with all of them, I'm going to crochet them together, and the lines in between the granny squares are going to look a lot more thicker and a lot better. It just gives it a more neater look, and when you look at the jacket that I'm gonna show y'all at the end, you kind of see like what I'm talking about. But that's gonna be pretty much the black background of the jacket, so I'm outlining them just to save that extra step. So that's what I'm doing, and it didn't really take that long as well. As far as the outline of the black part, that did not really take that much longer. So, but this is the final look after I outlined it with the black yarn here. So then once I get done doing the black outline of the granny squares, now I'm just crocheting them together. So what I like to do is I like to crochet them side by side first in kind of like a strip, and then I take each individual strip and then I just crochet the whole line going all the way across between the granny squares. So I hope I'm explaining it correctly, but basically I'm doing like 5 granny squares side by side in a strip, and then once I get about at least like 2 strips of 5 granny squares total, then I take 2 of the strips and I crochet them together in a long way, so that way I could just go in a straight line instead of having to break up the yarn continuously between each and every granny square. So that's how I did it, and I hope I'm explaining it right, but I mean, as you can see here, that's how I'm doing it. So it starts to come together pretty well once you kind of get a visual of it, and you might see a couple of cat hairs here and there because my cat steady messing with my yarn. Like that man, that little boy do not like to stay away from my yarn. So I apologize ahead of time. You do see some cat hair here and there. Cat hair gets everywhere. If you own a cat, you know how hard it is to get rid of cat hair that's around you. That stuff is just, it's like, it could be in your face. And don't wear lip gloss either, because if you wear lip gloss around your cat's gonna brush up against you. Now you got a mouthful of cat hair. Don't do don't do what I do. But yeah, I'm just crocheting them together really nicely, and it kind of just helps blend them in together as well when I'm doing it all at once, because it just, you know, it just looks better. So as I got done with the granny squares outline, the black outline on them, you can see it coming together. And then this is how it ended up looking once I was pretty much finished with these 2 strips. So to see the visual of it, as you can see, I did 2 strips of the 5 granny squares, and then I crocheted them together all in one row going down the middle, so it just makes it a little bit easier, and that's how it ended up looking. So just as I showed y'all earlier, this is how it ended up looking. So that was the back panel of it. Now it shows that there's 5 by 5 granny squares, so it's 5 in the rows, and then there's 5 going against the columns. I ended up adding that extra row in there because that's when it was a little too tight, so I ended up adding 5 more granny squares on the side. But that's pretty much how it looks once I crochet them all together, and it looks so good. You can see the variety of different colors. So yeah, it was looking good. So we're going to fast forward this a little bit just to kind of show you how the front part looks. So this is the front panel of it. Now I did the front panel just a little bit differently. I did end up taking 1 square out of the collar part, because that's where I'm going to add a little bit more black yarn to create the collar. But that's how it pretty much looks all broken down here. So it kind of looks squarish, which I kind of like that little square style that it got going on. But yeah, that's pretty much that. So I did the same thing just like I did in the back. I did 6 granny squares, like pretty much like rows of granny squares. I just did the same amount. I did the same amount. I don't know, I haven't took math in a minute, but yeah, that's how it looks. So this is how it ended up looking once I did the arms. So the arms kind of the same old memo like I did in the back and the front. And I did 25 granny squares total for the arms. So you can see there's like 2 strips here and 2 strips there. So it is 20. I ended up adding an extra roll because it was a little too small for me and too snug. So I did end up adding an extra roll on top of that. But that's how you can see it looks. And I did end up sewing them to the shoulder part of the front part of the jacket. So I still have to sew those arms together, or crochet the arms together, but that's how it pretty much looks so far after I did the arms. So now on this part, I'm working on the trim. So once I sewed the arms together and everything, and I was already finished with the front and the back panel, now we're just adding those final touches. So I'm doing the trim. So this is, as you can see, my nails look different now because this is when I was like, okay, I'm finally mentally ready to get back into this project and finish it off. And I think this was like 2 months later. So I was like, okay, let me go ahead and finish it, because once you start something, you cannot just let it go. Like, it's time to finish it, Kiana. All right, take care of your responsibilities. So yeah, so the trims, not too bad. Those did not take me a long time, which is good. Trims are usually the quickest last part of the project to get finished, so that's what I did. But I was working on the arms for this one, I believe, and then I already finished the bottom part of the jacket, and then I also did the collar. So the square part where I took that missing granny square at, I filled that in with some extra trims. And after I did the trims, this is how it looks. So as you can see now, it started to come together really, really nicely. So yeah, kept the trims very simple, very basic. Just did like the ribbed type of look. From the front part, I did end up doing just single crochets instead of doing the trim ribbed look, only because that's where I'm going to add my zipper at, because I wanted to do like a zipper jacket version of this. So that's how I end up doing it. But it was looking clean. It was looking good. I'm like, yes, I'm finally getting to the end of it. Yes. So now we're going to do the zipper. So for the zipper, again, for the front part, I did all single crochets, and I did not mention it before, but I did it mainly also because I wanted to keep them flat as possible, and I felt like the ribbed look will look kind of uneven on the edges, and it would be hard for me to sew the zipper on. But for the zipper, I was going to do like a black and gold combo because I like the accents of metals just kind of like popping out. So rather it's gold or silver, I love doing one of those type of metal finishes on the jackets, because it just really makes it pop. It really makes it look kind of more luxurious, like, okay, I'm kind of rich in a way, even though the jacket took me a long time. So best believe if somebody would have asked me to make this, you're gonna be paying some money for this. It ain't gonna be cheap. I'm gonna just tell you that it ain't gonna be cheap. So yeah, you can see I ended up choosing the bright pink one because I felt like the bright pink just really pops very well against the other colors that I have going on, and I felt like the pink against that black, it just looks so good. So yeah, I ended up choosing the pink zipper this time, and I had that like stashed deep in my inventory because I have some other color zippers as well, but I really wanted to use this pink one, so that's what I decided to do. Now, I still suck at sewing. That is a skill that I'm still working on. And plus, I think the thread that I was using just kept getting tangled up anyways. It was one of those like cheap kits that you could get from Amazon for like less than $10 or something. But it was very hard for me to sew it down because it just kept getting tangled up in the back. So it is going to look a little sloppy, but I used some black thread to basically hold the zipper down. And I wanted to blend in with the black part, the black border of the jacket. But pretty much after I got finished, this is how it ended up looking. All right, y'all. So after finishing this jacket, I still do have to weave in those ends, but I'm not even really mentally ready to do that yet. So I'm just gonna just keep it in my closet for now because it is getting warmer outside. So I will not be able to wear this jacket until towards the end of this year when it gets back cold again. But otherwise, this jacket fits like a glove, y'all. It fits really nicely. It's not too tight, which I love because I was worried about it being too small, but it actually fit perfectly on me. And I love that little zipper part of it, so I could take this off and wear it as a open-ended jacket, or I could wear it as a closed-ended jacket. It really don't matter. The options are endless. But the colors came out nice, the pattern came out nice, everything just came out really nice, and it was so worth making this jacket and almost mentally losing my mind for it because of how long it took. But I just want to thank y'all so much for hanging out with me and watching this video. I'll see y'all next time on my next video for any other future projects that I do. Otherwise, y'all have a good one, and bye bye.